It's 11:47 p.m. You're both in the same room. Same couch, same blanket, same relationship. And somehow it feels like there's an ocean between you. They're scrolling. You're pretending not to notice. You already asked if everything's okay, and they said, "Yeah, I'm fine," in that flat voice that means absolutely nothing is fine. So now you're sitting there doing the math, replaying the tone, replaying dinner, replaying the tiny moment they went quiet and never really came back. And in your head, it's loud. Why does this keep happening? Why do I always feel like I'm reaching? Am I too much? Do they even want this the way I do? Why does loving each other feel this hard? Here's the truth most people miss. The relationship didn't get painful because one of you stopped caring. It got painful because one of you reaches for safety by moving closer, and the other reaches for safety by pulling away. So now love gets trapped inside a cycle. One person chases connection, the other protects themselves with distance, and both of you end up feeling alone. You're not failing at love. This is not proof you chose the wrong person. And honestly, man, more couples live inside this pattern than you think. By the end of this video, you're going to understand the 5 clearest signs you're in an anxious-avoidant relationship. What's actually happening beneath the surface when this cycle takes over, and why naming it clearly is the first step toward real repair. Let's get into it. Most couples believe the problem is communication. That if you could just explain yourself better, calm down more, text back faster, need less, ask nicer, argue cleaner, then everything would click. But the real truth is deeper than that. This is not just a communication issue. It's a safety issue. Your partner's nervous system is reading you before their mind can catch up. And your nervous system is doing the exact same thing to them. So when the anxious partner feels distance, their body doesn't register, "Oh, we just need a conversation." It registers, "Connection is leaving. Do something, now." And when the avoidant partner feels emotional pressure, their body doesn't register, "This person needs closeness." It registers, "I'm overwhelmed. I'm losing space. Get me out of here." That's why the cycle feels so irrational from the inside, because it is not driven by logic first, it's driven by protection. Most couples think one person is needy and the other is cold, but the real truth is that both people are scared in opposite directions. One fears abandonment, one fears engulfment. One moves toward, one moves away. And both are trying to get back to the exact same thing: connection that feels safe. Here's the part no one talks about. When safety leaves a relationship, love doesn't always disappear. Sometimes it just goes underground. It hides beneath defensiveness, beneath silence, beneath criticism, beneath "I'm fine," beneath "nothing's wrong," beneath "you're overthinking." So if you've been telling yourself, "Maybe we're just incompatible," slow down. Sometimes incompatibility is real, but sometimes what looks like incompatibility is just the anxious-avoidant cycle playing out between two people whose attachment patterns are speaking louder than their hearts. And once you see that clearly, everything starts making more sense. 1. The fight is never about the fight. Most couples think the issue is the issue: the dishes, the late reply, the tone, the forgotten plan. But in an anxious-avoidant relationship, the argument is almost never just about what happened. It's about what that moment meant
to each person's nervous system. For the anxious partner, a small disconnect can feel huge. Not because they're dramatic, because their body is scanning for signs of drift. A delayed text becomes, "I'm not important." A distracted tone becomes, "I'm losing you." And for the avoidant partner, that emotional intensity can feel instantly overwhelming. Their body hears not, "Please come closer," but, "I'm about to be blamed, trapped, or swallowed whole." So most couples end up arguing on the surface. But beneath the surface, one person is asking, "Do I still matter to you?" And the other is asking, "Am I still allowed to breathe in this relationship?" Here's what that sounds like in real life. Disconnecting version. "You never text me back like you used to." "I was busy. Why are you making this a thing again?" "So I'm too much now?" "That's not what I said." Connecting version. "When you went quiet today, I noticed I started feeling far from you." "I get that. I pulled inward. It wasn't about not caring.
I just felt overloaded. That's the difference. Not louder conversations, not more explaining, not one person winning the point, but two people naming the feeling beneath the pattern. And when you do that, the walls between you start to come down without either of you having to say a word. 2. One person chases, the other disappears. This is the classic sign, and this is where it gets really interesting. Most couples notice the behavior. They do not notice the cycle. They see one partner texting more, asking more, reaching more, needing reassurance more. And they see the other going quiet, shutting down, asking for space, staying vague, or emotionally disappearing for hours or days. So the story becomes simple. Too needy, too distant. But the real truth is that both people are regulating distress in the only way they know how. The anxious partner reaches, because closeness feels like oxygen. Their system says, "If I can get you to turn toward me, we're okay." The avoidant partner withdraws, because distance feels like control. Their system says, "If I can create space, I can settle down and stop feeling flooded." It's like a smoke detector that goes off in both rooms for opposite reasons. One hears silence and panics, one hears intensity and panics. And now both of you are reacting to alarms the other person can't even hear. You'll hear it in tiny moments. Disconnecting version. "Can we please talk about this right now?" "Not right now." "You always do this." "I can't do this when you're like this." Connecting version. "I really want to talk, and I know when things feel unresolved, I start chasing." "I know, and when I feel chased, I shut down. I need 20 minutes, but I will come back." That last line matters so much, because her brain is quietly registering, "He's not leaving me, he's just regulating." And his body is quietly registering, "She's not trying to control me, she's trying to stay connected." That's when your partner stops feeling like a problem to manage and starts feeling like a person to come home to. 3. Relief gets mistaken for intimacy. This one is sneaky. Bro, this is the one most couples never figure out. Most people in relationships think the best moments mean the relationship is finally fixed. The makeup conversation, the long hug after the fight, the sudden flood of affection after someone almost leaves, the deep talk at 1 a.m. that feels so honest, so raw, so real. And yes, those moments can be meaningful. But in an anxious-avoidant relationship, relief often gets confused with true repair. Why? Because when the anxious partner finally gets reassurance, their whole body exhales. And when the avoidant partner finally gets enough distance to return on their own terms, they also soften. So the reunion feels intense, magnetic, almost cinematic. But intensity is not the same thing as security. Not butterflies, not chemistry, not the high after emotional deprivation, but steadiness, presence, predictability. That's what secure connection actually feels like. It's the difference between drinking water after crossing a desert and living beside a river. Both feel good, only one is sustainable. Here's how it shows up. Disconnecting version. I thought we were done. I know, I just needed space. Well, now we're good again, right? Yeah, I think so. Connecting version. I'm glad we found each other again tonight. Me too. But I don't want us to only feel close after almost losing each other. So what would repair look like earlier next time? That, right there. Slowing it down before we hit the cliff. And here's what changes everything. Real intimacy is not built in the big emotional resets. It's built in the 30-second moments where you turn toward each other before the distance hardens into scar tissue. That's the shift that turns a relationship that feels like a negotiation into one that feels like a refuge. 4. Honest needs start sounding like criticism or control. Here's the part no one talks about. In an anxious-avoidant relationship, even normal needs can get translated as threats. Most couples assume conflict starts when someone says something harsh, but sometimes conflict starts long before that. It starts when one partner says, "I miss you," and the other hears, "You're failing me." It starts when one partner says, "I need space," and the other hears, "You're too much for me." That's why this cycle is so brutal. Because both people are often reacting to meanings that were never spoken out loud. The anxious partner is usually not trying to control. They're trying to restore connection. But because fear is underneath it, the request can come out as protest. Sharp tone, repeated questions, hidden accusation. And the avoidant partner is usually not trying to abandon. They're trying to protect themselves from overwhelm. But because fear is underneath that, the boundary can come out cold, dismissive, withdrawn, final. So now two valid needs hit each other in distorted form. Closeness sounds like pressure. Space sounds like rejection. Listen to the difference. Disconnecting version. Why do you need so much space all the time? Why do you need so much attention all the time? Connecting version. When you go distant, I start feeling unsteady, and I want more presence from you. When things get intense fast, I feel flooded, and I need a little space so I can stay emotionally available instead of shutting down. Do you hear that? This isn't a communication hack. This is just what two emotionally mature people naturally do when they stop protecting themselves with blame and start telling the truth. And something in him is saying, "She doesn't need me to be perfect. She needs me to be present." And something in her is saying, "He's not rejecting me. He's trying not to disappear inside himself." That's when the relationship stops feeling like a courtroom and starts feeling real again. 5. Both of you feel unseen, even while trying your best. This is the deepest sign, and honestly, it's the saddest one too. Most couples think the anxious partner is the only one hurting, because their pain is louder, more visible, more verbal, more immediate. But the avoidant partner is hurting too, just in a way that often looks like indifference from the outside. She feels abandoned. He feels inadequate. He feels cornered. She feels unwanted. They feel alone in opposite corners of the same relationship. That's the tragedy of this dynamic. Both people are often trying. They're just trying in ways the other person cannot receive. The anxious partner may be giving more words, more bids, more effort, more emotional labor. But the avoidant partner may quietly be thinking, "Nothing I do is enough, so why even try?" And the anxious partner may quietly be thinking, "If I stop trying for 1 second, this whole thing will fall apart." So even love starts feeling unspoken, hidden behind patterns, buried beneath the surface. Here's what it can sound like. Disconnecting version. I'm the only one fighting for us. That's not true. Then why do I feel so alone? Because nothing I do ever seems right to you. Connecting version. I know I come after you when I feel scared, but underneath that, I'm really just longing to feel chosen. I know I pull away when I feel pressured, but underneath that, I'm scared of failing you and losing myself at the same time. That kind of honesty changes the room. Because now you're not arguing with behaviors, you're meeting each other in the unspoken place those behaviors came from. Not fixing, not performing, not saying the perfect thing, but letting yourself be seen without armor. And when that happens, what's moving through both of you is, maybe we were never enemies. Maybe we were just two hurt people caught in a cycle neither of us knew how to name. That's the beginning of repair. That's the beginning of turning toward each other for real. So if you recognized your relationship in this video, take a breath. This is not a diagnosis of doom. It's awareness. And awareness is where change begins. These signs are not just things to watch for. They're invitations to become more conscious in love. To stop treating your partner's pattern as proof they don't care. To stop treating your own fear as proof you're broken. To learn how to bring more safety, more presence, and more honesty into the exact moments where most couples just repeat the cycle. This isn't a checklist. It's an identity shift. Because when you internalize this, you stop reacting from old wounds and start responding from something steadier, kinder, and more emotionally available. And your partner will feel that before you've even finished explaining it. These aren't tips for a better relationship. They're the beginning of becoming the kind of partner you always wanted someone to be for you. Real intimacy doesn't start when two people stop triggering each other. It starts when two people stop letting their triggers do all the talking. If you want, I can also turn this into either a more cinematic, high-retention version, a shorter 8 to 10-minute version, or a fully formatted voiceover script with pauses and B-roll cues. Research grounding for the attachment concepts reflected in this script. Adult attachment insecurity is commonly described along the dimensions of anxiety and avoidance. Anxious attachment is associated with hyperactivating strategies around threat and reassurance seeking, while avoidant attachment is associated with distancing or deactivating strategies, especially under stress. The broad push-pull pattern between anxious and avoidant partners is also widely described in attachment-based relationship education, where one partner seeks closeness and the other protects autonomy through distance. The Gottman Institute.